funny, Bob, that I think he's intentionally hiding. So Bill, I saw your post on the yeast thing, but I didn't have time to click it.
Recording in progress.
All right, welcome everyone. Ooh, sorry. I'm going to apologize right off the bat. I'm a little under the weather, so if I sound like a chicken, I apologize. And I'll probably be doing a couple of lozenges throughout the evening. But it's now 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Fenton Township Board meeting on this Tuesday, the 21st day of July, 2026. I ask everyone to please stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Gopal, will you lead us?
Yes, sir, thank you. Heavenly Father, bless us as we gather here tonight. Help us to nurture the bonds of our community. Guide us to make decisions in the best interest of the township and its residents. We pray for an end to the conflicts in the world today. Continue to look over and bless our community and our country. We ask these things in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As always, thanks, Mark. Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Lorraine,
Present.
Reed is absent. Clark,
Here.
Krug is present. Kessler,
Here.
Gopal,
Here.
Tucker.
Present.
You have 6 members present.
Thanks, Bob. I'd also like to note for the record that we have our Township Attorney, Jack Belzer, our Operations Manager, Tom Broker. Is that reverb out there? Am I too loud? Okay. Operations Manager, Tom Broker, our Zoning Administrator, Mike Deem, our Fire Chief, Ryan Volz, our Assessor, Julia Wilson, and our Assistant Manager, Megan Gito, is present on Zoom tonight, along with our Township Engineers, Alan and Melissa Lawrence from Lawrence Engineering. Tom, will you detail the procedures for those attending tonight's virtual meeting?
Yes, to the members of the public attending tonight's meeting in person or via Zoom, please be advised the meeting is being recorded to be shown on Public Access TV on Spectrum Channel 191. Recorded meetings are also posted on the Fenton Area Community Television YouTube channel. For those attending via Zoom, we ask that you keep your microphone muted until we reach portions of the meeting where public comment is allowed. For tonight's meeting, there are no public hearings, therefore all public comment will be taken near the end of the meeting. Meeting materials are available for download on the Township's website at fentontownship.org.
Thanks, Tom. All right, moving on to the first business order is approval of the agenda. Are there any requests to amend tonight's agenda? Hearing none, a motion is in order to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
I vote yes. Clark,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Reed is absent. Gopal,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to the meeting minutes. Included in the packet are the meeting minutes from the July 7th regular meeting. Are there any corrections or requested revisions to these meeting minutes? Hearing none, the meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Next business order is expenditures. Are there any questions from the board regarding any of the invoices? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion regarding the payment of expenditures totaling $238,028.39 for payment.
Move the expenditures be approved as presented. Second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Reed is absent. Gopal,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes,
I vote yes. Clark,
Yes.
motion passes.
and the expenditures stand approved as presented. As Tom said, we have no public hearings tonight. Moving on to the next is reports. We do have in your packet, the Ordinance Enforcement Second Quarter Report. I'm sure we've all reviewed it. Is there any questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none. Are there any committee reports to be made to the board this evening? All right. Next business order is communications, none. Adoption of ordinances. This is the rezoning of number R26-002 Miller Industries. The following parcels: 06-03-200-022, also known as 3231 Ray Road. 06-03-200-041, also known as 11250 North Park Avenue, 06-03-200-042, also known as 11200 North Park Avenue, 06-03-200-043, also known as 1125 North Park Avenue, and 06-03-200-044, known as 11158 Torrey Road. Revised PUD conditions, this is the second reading and the vote on the adoption. Zoning Administrator Dean will review, and then I'm sure Treasurer Tucker will have some additional comment.
All right. So as we talked previously, right, the Planning Commission's made a recommendation to approve the amendments, right? That would be removing the restriction for the railroad parcel, limiting it to agricultural uses. The US 23 corridor plan was recently adopted that changed the master plan classification for the property from low density residential to highway service, right? The proposed amendment is consistent with that. The area, right, has been historically identified for non-residential use. Looking back at, going all the way back to the 1989 master plan, it was identified for industrial. And this area has been identified for some sort of industrial commercial use essentially for the past 40 years. So removing the restrictions consistent with previous and the current plan. I'm here to answer any additional questions you may have.
Any comments or questions from the board?
I've got a couple of comments, and this is as good a time as any. Have you happened to see the video that the state has where comments around the manufacturing and building opportunities at Miller are discussed? Because some of the information in this video, when I seen it, were brand new to me. A couple of the items that were new was, one, that Miller has plans for the future to build a hotel on site. Also, we're redoing the bridge over 23, not because of the citizens, even though it does need to be done. But in this video, it stated that we're doing it because Miller needs bigger turns to bring larger loads into their facility. And it's a video that I would ask you, I sent it to Mr. Broker so you can get it for him, just for information, because it goes against what we've been told.
Well, relating to hotels and restaurants, right, the concept plan that was presented in front of the Planning Commission and approved by the Township Board in '24, it's on there, right? Those uses are part of the planned unit development. So those are not new concepts. Those have been on the concept plan for a number of years.
Okay, that's all I have.
I have a comment. It's about a page. I'd like to read some of my thoughts. I'm really going to implore this board to reflect on what this vote means. It's reported that a private equity firm based out of Utah now has majority interest in this company. I'm asking, do we still represent the best interests of the citizens who live, pay taxes, raise families here? Or are we now doing what's in the best interest for the attorneys, lobbyists, and consultants of big business? Do we still work for the people? Or are we now working for corporations and private equity firms who extract all the money they can out of their projects for shareholders? And then in turn, move on to the next municipality, leaving a shell of what the company originally was from for the township, and leave it for the residents in the township to do. The residents have made it clear on their wishes. Again, I don't know how many of our residents have to speak on this issue to get this board to listen, but for me, it's been more than enough.
Mark, anybody else like to make a comment?
Well, I can't sit here without opening my mouth. That would be
Mark, will you?
cause for a 911 call. I'm gonna start by saying that I am frustrated. I am frustrated because of the appearance of what is going on with respect to this development. I came into the day planning on having a discussion with Mr. Miller at this meeting. I see him in the back over here. And I was going to express my displeasure with what has happened on this site. And I want to make it clear what Miller Industries has done on this site is perfectly legal. Everything that's happened out there is permissible by law. But it looks terrible. If you drive over there, you'll see $15 or $20 million worth of construction supplies sitting on the site. You'll see excavation, which, again, there's nothing wrong with any of that. His zoning allows him to stockpile materials. If you get a soil erosion permit from the county, you can do preliminary groundwork out there. There's a detention pond that's roughed in already. What I am frustrated with is the perception of this. Because this gives the feel that this development is a done deal. And I tell everybody that comes before the planning commission and everybody that comes before the township board that the process matters, that your participation matters. And because the appearance here is the opposite of that, it frustrates the heck out of me, okay? And my temptation to Tom is to like, okay, you think you can do this? We'll see. We'll see exactly how that goes, because you're getting ready, but you haven't had the vote yet. Well, then I got an unsolicited call from the township engineer, and she told me Miller came to us back in the day, and they said, what do you want us to do? We will do whatever you do or don't want done. And they were told by the township engineer, and I'm not faulting her, because I'm going to explain in a minute here, they were told that they were permitted to do the things that they've done. Now, that does not change my frustration, because what it does is undermine the process in your view. And I can never get you guys at meetings. So it's great that what you're doing here, because behind the scenes, what is going on is people are telling you, get yourself informed and get yourself involved. I 1000% agree with all of that. But what has happened here, the process is taking a beating because it looks like it's a done deal. And I wouldn't fault anybody that wasn't in my position for having that view. I would understand that completely if I went out here as a general citizen and looked at this. And what follows, and I'll just say it out loud, the premise is somebody's pockets got lined, this is already done, look, the proof is laying on the ground, they've spent millions of dollars. I can't argue with that analysis. That is what it looks like. But I can tell you, I've sat on the planning commission for 26 years. Been on the board for 20, I don't know, 2, 4, I don't know how many years. If anybody's pockets were gonna be lined, you know who they would be? Okay? Now, I do take a fair amount of vacation, but I can assure you, there is not anybody on this board, on the planning commission, that gets paid for their votes. But I'm frustrated, because the process is being abused here, and they're not doing anything wrong. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I found out, I was gonna let him hear about it. I was gonna let him hear about that, because it frustrated me to see that going on. But if you look, it's no different than any other application. And I'll tell you two quick stories. There's a little piece of commercial property on North Road that is north of Wabasca. And I happen to like this site. I drive by this site, or at least I used to before they shut Baldwin Road down, twice a day. I was driving by this piece along the freeway on North Road, and they had stripped the site. They had bulldozed it. They brought in, Kevin would have to tell me what it is, some packing gravel kind of base material. And I thought, I sit on the Township Plan Commission. I think I should probably know what this is. I don't know what this is. So a month or so later, lo and behold, on the agenda, here's a site plan for something on that site. And the short version of the story is they're trying to put 50 pounds of stuff into a 25-pound bag, and they were told no. Whatever money they had spent to do that, they had done at their risk, okay? And anybody in the township that owns land can do what they did without violating anything. I was told earlier tonight, there is a site on Fenton Road that is being cleared. We, township, have no idea. Okay? But again, the perception, this one's out front, this one's in front of everybody, and it's at a scale that's geometrically larger than what we're talking about. Mr. Miller has made a very large gamble on the vote that's about to happen. And I have to convince you guys that the process matters and your participation matters. So, I was tempted to teach him a lesson. And that is not the way you operate. But I was tempted, I will admit that. Now I'm going to shift gears on you to address some of the things that Mark said. I've talked to you guys before about zoning and the different specific things. This board will tell you, I've got them all trained, there's a mantra, anytime any rezoning request comes up before the board, you ask any one of them what I tell them to ask. They'll all know the answer because I've pounded it into their brains over 20-odd years. And that question is this consistent with the master plan? That's the short story, okay? Why is it that I asked them to ask that question? I'm going to back up further. We have about 8,300 and some change parcels of real property in Fenton Township. And we have less geographic land area. We got two cities that take land out of us. 8,300 and some change. As Mark will tell you, and he is correct, every one of those parcel owners, every single one of them has the right to do something with their property. Okay? There's no way that the township or anybody can say, sir, madam, company, whoever you are, you cannot develop your property because of XYZ reason. Okay? Everybody has development rights. A long time ago, people figured out that unregulated development didn't work out very well. So there's something called the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. And it came along, and it said to the townships, you can reasonably regulate business development in your township, in your city, if you follow the requirements of the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. What doesn't it say? It doesn't say you can turn off development at any point in time. It doesn't say you can tell to a property owner, you, sir, madam, or institution, have no right to develop your property. What it says is you township, you got to create a plan. Okay? It's the master plan. And what the master plan says is this area of the township is where your industrial uses are going to go. That area of the township is where your commercial uses are going to go. Over here is where the residential structures can go. It's planning, and it makes sense when you see how it happens. The commercial stuff goes where you expect it to go, along the major roads, the industrial stuff goes along freeways. It all makes sense in terms of how it actually plays out, but the point is, for the township to have reasonable regulation, you gotta have a master plan that says, this is where we want that, this is where that stuff goes. And so that's why every time an application for rezoning comes in here, I ask the board, is it consistent with the master plan? Okay? It is not, you heard me say this, it is not a popularity contest. We don't get to vote on what color house you paint your house. Your neighbors don't have any input in that. You have a lot of property rights. So what happens if you don't have a plan? Well, you default back to the default setting. Everybody, all 8,300 have property development rights. They can put whatever you want, and that's where you get bowling alleys next to houses, you get whatever it is that you would least like in your backyard. That's what unregulated free property rights allows. Zoning is the only thing that prevents commercial development from being in your subdivision, to just being a complete unplanned anarchical mess. So, a question of zoning isn't a question of popularity. It is an answer to two questions. Does the request, is it consistent with the master plan? And is the request, what they want to do, consistent with the zoning uses that fall within that master plan category? That's all it is, okay? Now, am I saying you can't consider traffic and you can't consider sewer capacity and you can't do, I'm not saying that. I'm trying to take the 1 million mile view on what this is. But we start with everybody having the right to develop their property, and I mean everybody. We overlay the state allowing us to have reasonable regulation consistent with a plan. So, I'm in a conundrum, because I know exactly how all you folks would like to have this vote turn out. I have my opinion on who's gonna vote which way when we get to that point. And it leaves me in a conundrum, okay? I'm probably in a position to give you a 3-3 vote and nothing happens tonight. You could all walk away and you'd feel better about it. We could all just agree and vote the way that you want to vote, because it is the most popular vote of the people that show up here. And that will make you happy, and it will work for a little while. Now, my day job is an attorney, and I happen to be a real estate attorney. So let me play that scenario out a little bit further for you in your head, at the risk of putting you all asleep. So tonight, we vote 6-0. Sorry, Tom, no rezoning. You got a lot of stuff on the ground. That really stinks, but you gambled, you lost. Sorry. None of this has come from Tom Miller. This is Tucker, okay? Don't think that anything I'm telling you, because Tom Miller hasn't said anything to me about any of this. But if you think Tom Miller is gonna leave $20 million of stuff sitting on the ground and go, darn, I guess wrong on that one, that's gonna hurt. He's gonna be down in his lawyer's office, okay? And I know how those conversations go, because I'm involved with them every day. First thing I'm gonna ask, so what does the township's master plan say for this piece of property? Says it's highway service. Oh, well, what are you trying to do out here? Well, we're trying to do an industrial building, 300,000 square feet. And then I would ask Mr. Miller, well, is that use consistent with the highway service zoning classification in the master plan? He's already asked that question. He already knows that answer. He's gonna shake his head. Yes, it is. It's gonna be one of my shorter lawyer meetings, because I'm gonna tell you, I know exactly what you need to do. if it is consistent with the master plan and your use fits within the zoning districts that are allowed in those categories that the master plan, future land use plan calls for, you got a lawsuit. You got a good lawsuit. Mr. Gopel's told you he doesn't vote yes or no based on fears of receiving lawsuits or not receiving lawsuits. I don't either. I think that's sound advice. But what I do want to avoid, and what I do fear, is losing lawsuits. And I haven't lost a lot of lawsuits in 42 years, but I can tell you a fast way to do it. Okay? We vote no. A couple months later, we're gonna get a lawsuit. He hasn't told me this. I don't want you to think he's threatened anything. He's not done that. I'm telling you, 42 years of experience. And that is not a lawsuit I would want to be on the receiving end of, because they all hire experts, and they come in and say, you know, what's the master plan say? What were you gonna do? Is it consistent? And then after you get done asking those questions, they say, what are your damages? And you bring in, trot out an expert, and I've seen, I could bore you with stories, I'm already boring you, but I could tell you stories about what appears to be very small developments with very large damage claims. There's a township up near Grand Traverse that just got pounded for that kind of activity. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it was 8 figures. I don't remember where it was inspected. So a few years later, all of a sudden, now the township's staring at a bill. We have insurance. Don't get too excited. We have insurance for that kind of thing. I know what the limits are. But I agree. We don't operate out of fear of lawsuits. We darn well better operate on fear of losing lawsuits. We don't want to do things that will cause you to lose a lawsuit. And that's where I have a conundrum. Because if I do what you want, you're going to be happy tonight, there'll be celebration on the internet, time will pass, and then there will be a time where people won't be happy. Because it's not going to end well. Because this proposal is consistent with the future land use map. We can argue all day long about whether it should be, because it was recently changed. I get it. And that's where participation is key back in the day. We're going to talk about things going forward. But tonight, as I've said to this board a million times, the question isn't whether or not you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. It isn't a question of whether it's a popular thing, you think you're in favor or you're against. The question is the application consistent with the future land use plan of the township, and is what they are proposing within those parameters? That's what zoning is. Okay? Can we take a look at our future land use plan and change it to reflect some of the sentiments that you've been raising? 100,000% you can do that. And I'm going to suggest that we at least inquire as to where the township residents as a whole stand on that issue. I don't know. I know what you guys think. I've heard what you think. I understand what you're saying. But I am frustrated by the appearance of this and the damage that I believe it's caused to the perception of the process. You're going to just have to take my word on it, and you don't have to believe me, and I probably wouldn't if I were sitting in your shoes. The process is real. The process works. The process is critical that you become informed and involved. And I thank you for doing that at this point in time. And that's way more than I should say, but there's a lot of ground that I had to cover tonight. And I've said it. I'm not gonna rehash it. It's my old debate skills. Tell you what you're gonna tell you, tell it to you, and then tell you what I told you. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna quit.
Well, just to follow up on John's, Mike and I have had several conversations, and we talked about the master plan. Because of the input we're getting from you, the ones that show up, the concerned residents, maybe our master plan that we went through, 4 years ago, Mike? 24, so it's not even been that long. And usually we go through that process about every 5 years. I know before I became supervisor, it was probably 15 years.
No, actually, it wasn't that long.
Wasn't that long?
Probably back in 2000-ish, we did one, and then I think it was 7 or 8 years. I mean, we were doing a pretty regular progression. Nobody showed up for them. It's boring stuff. I mean, I don't blame anybody, but it's boring until it becomes important to you, right? And then, you know, it has become important. And I think it's important that we find out what our residents think. Because if our residents think that the township's mindset should be to regulate development to the greatest extent that the law allows, there are things that we can do. We can't do everything. We can't turn it off. But there are things that you can do to slow it down. Because that's the condition that came with our ability to regulate government, to regulate development. It's gotta be related to health, safety, and welfare. It's gotta be reasonable. So there are things. So if we find out that that is in fact the sentiment of our 14,000 residents, I can't speak for the rest of them, but I would certainly look at implementing that. But the implementation starts in the master plan. That's where it starts.
Well, and as I was going on to say, I was going on, I appreciate that, is that Mike and I are talking about reopening, and I will be coming to this board. Well, actually, the planning commission's gonna take it up. We're hopefully gonna bring a recommendation to the board to open up our master plan. I was part of that process, you were part of the process. We had 4 or 5, Mike can, you know, if I'm off by 1 or 2, we had 4 or 5 open houses. We invited people from the township, very little participation. Until this process started, not too many people got involved. So the one thing that I can tell you to do is when we do open up the, you know, the master plan again, and we're looking at all 8,400 acres or whatever that is, I would ask you to participate. Come to the meetings, everyone. We had a board up on, you know, in the lobby because we were getting very little people that would attend. So I told Mike, put a board up on our lobby. People are coming in to pay their taxes. What do you want to see in the Thompson Road corridor? They would stick little sticky notes up there when there was restaurants and grocery stores and all that sort of stuff. That's the direction that we moved in. So, Mike, do we have a digital picture of that board that we had up there for the longest time? Yeah. So, it's available for you to see. Not done yet, Bob.
I know.
And
I'm not
so,
done yet
so hopefully, we can convince everyone that is participating now to be part of that process. And hopefully, in the next couple of months, the Planning Commission will be recommending to the board. They are expensive, but I think at this point, it would be smart for us to go through the process, and I will be supporting that process. So, anything else, Bob?
Yes. I'll admit in front of all these residents, when we brought the new plan forward, there's no way in hell I thought of Miller Industries or that type of building was considered roadside services. I mean, we had a big discussion about a Love's wanted to come in and build something. And somehow, and I'm not sure how, they decided they didn't want us. And basically, to hell with us. But there's things, and I guess what I'm upset about is seeing people that represent me as a resident telling people at the state items and reasons that we've been, I'm trying not to say lied, so we've been misled by what we've been told. And there's one thing, no, forget it, I'm gonna go too far. But it shouldn't, no, I gotta stop.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, I will entertain a motion regarding the proposed zoning ordinance amendment to revise the PUD conditions for parcels number 06-03-200-022, 06-03-200-041, 06-03-200-042, 06-03-200-043, and lastly, 06-03-200-044, as presented.
Everybody jump right in.
What, you want me to tell you how the vote's gonna turn out?
I
I
can
don't
write
have
this.
to
Should we both write it down? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think we both know.
Yeah, we know, and so do those folks. But
Okay, I'll be the big boy.
Can we open the floor for discussion before you vote?
The public hearing was at the prior meeting. I won't, that's a question.
Hear what we have to say, we're here.
You think we haven't heard what you?
You're not in front of me. I'm just watching how our government operates.
Yeah, well, the way the zoning process works, well, first of all, it starts in the planning commission. There's a recommendation from the planning commission. Mr. Deem told you how that went at the beginning of this talk. The Township Planning Commission has recommended that we adopt the change to the POD to effectively eliminate the ag restriction on the 20-acre parcel that is adjacent to the freeway, that is water and sewer available to it, that is prohibited from accessing Ray Road, and has access to 2 county primary roads. That was the recommendation from the Planning Commission. The first hearing and board is where public comment is taken. We have taken so much public comment on this. I'll sit here and listen all night long. If somebody had something different or new that hasn't been discussed 1,000 times, whatever, I'd be happy to sit and listen, but to tell me that you think that I don't know what your position is, I think is doing me a disservice.
Making a motion?
How do you do? Did I get it?
yes, no, nobody made a motion.
You want to do anything about
No.
public comment? or do you
No,
want us to?
just move it.
All right, I will make a motion that we approve the requested revision to the PUD ordinance for the parcels referenced by Mr. Lorraine that we incorporated into the motion for the reason that it is consistent with the current township master plan, and that the proposed development falls within the zoning districts allowed in those future land use classifications.
I will second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Clark,
Yes.
Cha-ching. Kessler,
Yes.
I vote no. Gopel,
No.
Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
cha-ching. And Reed is absent, resolution passes.
All right. Please stick around if you'd like to address the board and the
There
public
was
hearing portion.
There was a motion, not a resolution.
Yeah. Well,
It was a motion.
you said resolution, that's all.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the Lake Fenton one already, because
All right, no problem.
I'm done with, oh, gotta shut up.
All right. Next order of business is unfinished business. We have none this evening. The next one is, next order of business, new business. This is resolution number 2026-16. This is a Genesee County Road Commission permit for Lake Fenton High School Homecoming Parade. The Lake Fenton High School wishes to hold their annual homecoming parade along Torrey Road between North Long Lake Road and Laring Road again this year. The date of the parade is Friday, October 9th, for all of you that want to put them in your calendar. The Genesee County Road Commission requires the Township Board to authorize the appropriate application. A resolution has been prepared for that authorization. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, resolution number 2026-16, Clerk Krug, will you please present the resolution?
That resolution authorizes Lake Fenton Community Schools to make an application to Genesee County Road Commission on behalf of the township for a permit to hold Lake Fenton High School Homecoming Parade on Friday, October 9th, between the hours of 4 to 6 within the right-of-way of Torrey Road between North Long Lake and Laring Road. I'll move the resolution.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
I vote yes. Reed is absent. Kessler.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
All right. Next business order under new business is proposed Genesee County Road Commission local road agreement. This is at Linden and Lobdell intersection. We've all reviewed the memo in the packet. Tom, were you able to find that picture?
No, I called, the road commissioner responded, they didn't have anything, they said it may have been just a preliminary.
It was preliminary anyway.
Not
We did have
really.
a copy of the drawing, but it's preliminary. What this is that I have over the last, well, I would say the last year, we've had complaints on that intersection, especially on Sundays, when the Rock Church gets out, a lot of congestion, people driving over people's private property because there's a, 5-10 minute wait. The county, it's a county road. We do have one section, it's a dirt road, but the other three are the counties. And so I called my engineer and said, what can we do? Well, it's county, so we're gonna need the county to do the road. So what I did is I called up Alex Patsy, I have a great relationship with the Genesee County Road Commission. Set up a meeting between Alex, Melissa, and myself. I told them their concerns and said, what can we do? And they said, well, it's not in the budget, we don't have the money. And I said, well, we have a problem, we'll need to find the money. So I said, you go back, see if you can come up with an idea, so we can get this done sooner or later. Probably, I can't remember exactly, but probably 2 or 3 weeks later, he came to me and said, I think I have a solution where we can get this done. And Alex said, would your board be interested in prepaying the engineering, which normally we would just pay a portion. If you'll prepay, if you can convince the board to prepay the engineering portion, what I will do, can't guarantee it, but I will accelerate the project for you. We need this intersection taken care of. If any of you have driven on this intersection, it's terrible. We need to get it taken care of. I think the preferred would be a roundabout, but there's no way the county's ever gonna come up with the money. I can certainly go to the state and try to find it, but that's what the county does, I think on a quarterly basis. So they came up with a preliminary drawing and said, we can do this for approximately $650,000. The township's portion would be 25%. If you can convince, we have it, there's nothing out there, but if you'll prepay the engineering, then hopefully we'll be able to get it into 2027 and get this done a lot sooner. And we'll take this $65,000 that the township's going to pay now, and we'll just take it off the bill. So we're gonna end up paying the same, it's just the county has no money. So at least if we get the engineering done now, it'll be shovel ready. It's ready to go. As soon as the county gets the money, engineering's done, they can do the process. If we wait for 18 months, 24 months for the county to get the money, then we gotta go through the engineering portion, and it'll probably be another season gone. So I'm here tonight to ask this board to authorize us paying, again, we're not really paying $65,000 for this. We will get it back in the final bill. So it's, the 25% is something we would be required to pay anyway. So this is just asking the board to prepay engineering, so it's a shovel-ready job. So as soon as the county can get us the money, we can start the project. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Will timing make a difference as to whether you get a roundabout or whatever? They're not proposing roundabout.
No, they just don't think it justifies it either. But again, we'll find out more during the engineering process.
The road commission doesn't think the roundabout is appropriate.
Melissa? I just want to make sure I don't misspeak. Melissa, can you turn on your mic And I know you were involved with this with me. I just want to make sure I'm answering this correctly. Can you answer that for?
Yep, I think you answered it correctly. A roundabout would work, as would what they're talking about designing with the traffic signals. The roundabout is about 3 times more expensive, so
So what
both
they're-
will work.
What they're proposing is signalization, no changes to the road?
Correct. Well, yeah,
Oh,
it'll
no,
get
turn
widened. There'll be
Turn
turn lanes, yes.
So it'll be turn lanes, and you're like I am. I would love to see a roundabout there.
Well,
But we can't wait 5 years to get the money.
Well, I'm no road expert, you'd mentioned it, and obviously they're putting roundabouts in, just go down Baldwin Road, if you're wondering. But if, I'm not an expert, so I try and rely on those that have expertise to tell me. And if they're saying that the turn signals and the lanes will solve the problem, then the issue you're raising, I have zero objection with. We're just front-loading the money.
Yep.
To get the thing by time, so things get done quicker.
Yep, yeah, probably 1 to 2 years, Melissa, sooner, because it'll be shovel ready. So as soon as they procure the money, they can start the job. So that's what I'm asking the board for. Is there any other questions or comments from the board?
Thankfully, I don't drive by that one. All the rest of them I seem to drive by, but that one I managed to
I have
avoid.
gotten out of church, and
It's a mess.
it's a mess. Okay, I will entertain a motion regarding the proposed agreement with the Genesee County Road Commission to fund preliminary engineering costs for the proposed improvements at the Linden Road, Lobdell Road intersection as presented.
Motion to approve? Second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Kessler,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
I vote no. Tucker,
Yes.
Gopel,
Yes.
motion passes 5-1.
All right, the next business order is board comment. Is there any on the board who has additional comments or concerns? Before we open it up to public comment.
Well, I have one, and then I'm gonna shut up, and John, you in charge, you keep
And I
it.
keep talking anyway, so
Is the first time in almost 30 years that I've sat on the board. I believe the one person I can't stand is a liar, and it's happened. Thank you.
All right,
I'm not following that one.
that's all right. You will. I'm gonna make sure of it. Next business order then is public comment on agenda, non-agenda items. We will now open up the meeting for public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. The board does ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, but we are here to listen, so if anybody would like to address the board on either an agenda or non-agenda item, come up and all we need is your name.
I'm not bashful, and I'm also not here for Miller. I'd like to thank the Township for paving Torrey Road a few weeks back. But I have a question about that. As they were doing the work on Monday, and they were right on time, grinding that up first thing Monday morning in that atrocious heat. The guy, after the grinder went through, on the broom truck would come, and he was sweeping the shoulder onto the road to be chewed up and thrown away. So all of the shoulder got removed. Didn't matter whether you had a paved driveway, a gravel driveway, or just a standard shoulder. It all got swept into the road to be ground up and put in the truck and hauled off. So the next day, when the paving company was coming through, I talked to the guy on the roller and asked him when the gravel was going to come back, because I had seen they had done, the road commission, a section of Linden Road, a long section, several miles. And you can see the new gravel packed into the shoulder. Okay, where my road is, I have between a 5 and a 7-inch berm now. It's like hitting this curve here straight on with your car. Every time I'm coming in and out, and I just wondered, when is the gravel going to show up to fill in the shoulder?
Melissa, I've driven that. I did not notice that, because I drive down that road at least 2 or 3 times a day. Melissa, can you answer it? I know that when they did a couple of roads that I went through, they came back like a week later, and then they laid gravel on the sides, and then there was a compactor that
That's
did
what
that. Can you, Melissa, address his concern?
So that's a road commission project. I can talk to the road commission tomorrow and find out the status.
Because that is exactly what they did on Linden Road on several miles. They added the gravel, and you could tell that it's been packed down. And what the guy in the roller told me on Tuesday, as he was going over the blacktop, was that anybody that had a blacktop driveway or a concrete driveway, they got a cut in. So a little shoulder came out and feathered into theirs. If you had a gravel road, they just kept going straight on. And so the road is hired also. They did a much better job than before. But if you come to my road and you turn around and want to go out, you can see the berm. And it's just like hitting a curb every time, in and out.
What's
She'll
that
check on
road?
it tomorrow.
What
I can't answer your question, but Melissa, our engineer, will check on it tomorrow.
Thank you.
What road?
I'm off of Torrey Road. I'm Ralston Road,
Thank you.
3050 Ralston Road.
Did you get that, Melissa?
You want my name?
I did, yes, thank you.
She's got it. 3050 Ralston Road.
Yes,
She will check on it tomorrow.
thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you drive a Jeep or a tank.
Pardon?
So I hope you drive a Jeep or a tank.
No, I don't. I have a GM car, it's like many of us do in this area supporting GM.
Good answer.
It's hard to tell the family not to just race up there like they used to be able to, because again, they did a very good job, and they were right on time, 2 days, and that sucker was done.
I might be wrong, but I think GM makes some tanks, or at least they did.
Well, on a fixed income, we can't afford everything now, can we?
Anyone else here that is present that would like to address the board on agenda, non-agenda items? Yes, sir, just come up and give us your name.
Hello, my name is Brent. I'm a new resident to Genesee County, and my question was the process for redoing Thompson Bridge over 23 and where the timeline is with it. I've heard 2027, that it's going to get redone to a degree. I was just curious if there's been any more information or what the timeline might be.
I have a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting with MDOT on Thursday. They are revising numbers and doing things like that. So if you want, just give me a call at the office anytime on Friday or anytime next week. I can set up a meeting and go over it with you.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to much of any of this. I mean, development's gonna happen. You know, if it's in your backyard, it's in your backyard. You know, if not, you know, but there's been, a lot of traffic issues with that bridge. You know, and I've been here 2 years. You know, I tried to,
It's been failing since 2002, so it needs to be addressed, and it's in the time frame that you're talking about, so.
I know they talked about it, I just didn't know if it went farther.
Usually the process just takes
Years.
freaking forever, and this is slow, don't get me wrong, but compared to normal, this is a lot faster than normal, so.
Right on.
Hang tight.
That's all I got. Thanks.
Like I said, Thursday, just anytime on Friday or anytime next week, I would be glad to do it. I probably will because we're pretty much at the point where now MDOT's giving dollar amounts, things like that, final design, things like that. It will all be put up on the internet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll have our social media person put it up there and
Cool.
explain it all as
Appreciate
best we
it.
can.
Thank you.
Because again, it's an MDOT project, just so people know.
Right,
So
right.
we have very little control. We're lucky that we were able to get them, procure the money, and we have the money, so we have a little say in it, but outside of that, it's an MDOT project, and they build it the way they want to build it.
Sure. All right, thank you.
All right.
Jason Lonsberry, 3215 Ray Road. Obviously, I wrote this before the vote, so, but I'm going to read it anyways. I'm speaking to you tonight, not just as a taxpayer or a name on a property roll, but as your neighbor, someone whose life and future will be permanently altered by the decision you are making regarding the rezoning of the land directly adjacent to my home. What is a policy vote on an agenda for this board is, for me, a decision that dictates the rest of my life. I ask you to honestly reflect on several critical questions before you cast your vote. A little late for that. I'm going to read those too anyways. Does our township truly need the revenue that Miller Industry is supposedly creating? We are constantly told that the industrial expansion brings economic prosperity, but at what cost? What property values in our neighborhood plunge, as they inevitably will when the massive factory is built feet from several residences. The assessed value of our homes would drop, eroding the residential tax base. Has that financial loss actually been factored into your math? Or are we sacrificing a stable, invested residential community for a short-sighted gain? Who is paying for the infrastructure work already underway? Over the past several weeks, Consumers Energy has been actively around the area talking about upgrading the grid and electrical poles. Why is the utility infrastructure being installed prior to public vote on rezoning? Who is paying for these substantial upgrades? Is Miller Industries funding the infrastructure entirely out of pocket? Or is this burden being quietly shifted onto the local residents designated to show up on price hikes on our monthly utility bills? Obviously, why has the site preparation already begun before tonight's vote, and why were residents misled? Heavy equipment has been actively grading the site. Building materials have already been delivered and stacked on the property. When concerned neighbors asked what these materials were, they were told at a planning commission meeting they were just side projects moving from building to building. We now know that was untrue. These are the structural materials brought in to construct a massive factory. Why would a corporation invest significant capital in the site work and material transport before a public hearing and a board vote unless they already knew the outcome would be? Were promises or deals made behind closed doors before the public was ever given a chance to speak? You already commented on that, John. You assured us that there wasn't. Finally, I must address this statement made recently by Supervisor Vince. You remarked that some people will be disappointed by the decision. Supervisor Vince, with all due respect, disappointed is what happens when your favorite baseball team loses a game. Disappointed is when you don't get the promotion at work that you hope for. You dust yourself off and move on. Disappointed is not a word that comes close to describing the destruction of a person's life investment. My home is the single largest investment I will ever make in my lifetime. Prior to Miller Industries showing up, my home held its value, grew in equity, and provided my family with peace, safety, and financial security. Now I am forced to sit here and stare down the total wipeout of everything I have worked for. Who will ever want to buy a residential house that is right next to a 500,000 square foot massive operating factory? You are effectively trapping me in my place where my quality of life is destroyed and my financial equity is erased. This is not a game, and this is not a minor inconvenience. This is my home, my sanctuary, and my financial safety net. The cruel irony of the situation is that I work in the very industry that Miller Industry provides equipment to. It seems like they would have been willing to work with me and others like me to make sure growth in the community happens in a way that serves the whole community. I'm a construction worker. In the industry right now, we're second in suicide rates. We double the national average in suicide right now. The construction workers that everybody says you can't get, we're checking it ourselves out at a record amount. So I want to thank this board and the planning commission for all that extra stress in my life. I really appreciate it. Respectively submitted, Jason Lonsberry.
Is there anyone else here tonight that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
I just have a question. My name's Donna Calloway. I live on Wiggins Road. And since I've been there 21 years, more homes have been developed on there, business has been on Wiggins Road. Does the speed limit have to stay at 50? It's a short road. There's a section that the road goes down to 30, and then you pick up to 50 and hit a stop sign. Does it have to stay at 50?
I will answer that question, or I'll try.
Okay.
Where you see that $50 sign? I live on that road. I think it's insane. There's a trailer park. Kids are walking down that road all the time.
The school bus comes down that road.
I had a friend of I will have Melissa, but I went through this process. I have tried, and the county makes those decisions. I will have Melissa.
What, can a petition be started and signed? I mean,
I'll
I don't know
sign
how
it.
that
I'll be the
works.
first to sign it. Absolutely,
I mean, I
because
used
it's
to mow
right,
I used
it's
to mow
right
my
by
lawn,
my
I
house.
could do it, and a couple times I've been real close if somebody just knocked me off my lawnmower speeding down that road. The motorcycles make it a runway.
I don't know what the legalities are over there, Mr. Attorney, but if I could put a 30-mile-an-hour sign up there, I would.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I know.
So usually.
So how can I?
Yeah, but you can talk to them. They will talk to you, they'll listen to the concerns. Usually what they do is they do traffic counts and speed tests. And they've got some formulas that they look at in terms of what the average speed is and, you know, the percentage of the average.
At one time, that was farmland, so,
Right, right.
you know.
It might have changed enough that you can convince them to do something different. And going down is usually easier to get them to do than going up, so.
and how do I do that?
Just contact, well, Vince is gonna.
I'm gonna do it.
He's gonna
Okay.
help you.
Melissa's,
But
yep.
if you didn't have Vince, you just call the Fenton County Road Commissioner, make an appointment, go down and talk to him. Just tell him what your concerns are.
Yeah, because people walk their dogs, their families down there, and it's just ridiculous that such a short road is 50 miles.
I will talk to Melissa tomorrow. Melissa's on right now, so she'll know. We'll talk tomorrow, and I'll write a letter personally in support of it. But again, I don't think I really have a say.
Okay,
But I'll do what I can.
okay, thank you.
Mhm. Anyone else here tonight that would like to, at present? Yes, sir.
You see name?
Just a name.
I'm Mike. I live on Ray Road. Has the lots on Fenton and Ray already been rezoned for high-density residential?
Mike?
So if that happens, I came from Mundy Township off Cook Road, and I went through dirt road, nightmare of that getting paved, and I don't want to do it again. I'm on Fenton Township side. North Ray Road is Mundy Township. Developing that is certainly going to have Genesee County Road Commission trying to pave that road. How does that work out? Because it would be Fenton Township taxed lots, but a half-split road with Mundy.
Can't answer that question right now. Melissa, would you be able to answer his question?
What is the question?
Oh, sorry.
So if they pave the road, it's a special assessment that's placed on all of the lot holders on that road. It would only be the south side, that's Fenton Township. The north side would be Mundy. The additional high-density residential lots would all be Fenton Township. So would the burden be Fenton Township, or would it be a joint with Mundy?
I can answer part of that.
Okay.
Typically, Ray Road being an unpaved road, the only improvements we've done over the years have been new limestone and paving the aprons at the intersections. And consistently, it's been a shared cost between Fenton and Mundy Townships. And as a local road, that road typically would not be subject to a special assessment. So I'm unfamiliar with the high-density residential that's being discussed. I don't know if it's is it a project in our township?
Yeah, your map shows that like 4 lots down from me is coded red for future zoning.
Okay.
Which would lead me to believe that neighborhoods would be coming to that area, which generates a lot more wear and tear on the road, and I'm back to exactly where I was in Mundy Township.
I think that part of the map, I'd have to look at it. It's actually, I think, zoned for, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, it's mobile home residential is what it's designated for, not zoned for, but designated for, I think.
The overlay corner is identified for high-density residential.
Okay.
But it's not zoned that way.
This is the future land use map you're talking about?
Correct.
Future land use. If an application comes in, right, we look at how it complies with the future land use map, but also the master plan as a whole, right? So the condition of Ray Road, if it's on Ray Road, is one of the things that we look at. I don't believe that the township board is in favor of putting money into paving Ray Road. So if that were to happen, right, it would have to be part of the development. So that's one of the things that we look at during a site plan review, during a rezoning request. Also, the capacity for water and sewer. Water is available there, sewer is not currently available.
Water's not available on Ray. It's on Fenton.
It's on Fenton.
Right.
Right, okay. So it depends on where, right?
Sure.
If water's being extended, right, then that's something that we consider for high density residential. If water's not being extended, right, if it's sewer's not being extended, it wouldn't meet the conditions that would be appropriate for rezone. Right? So it's all part of what's looked in as part of the review process.
Okay, cool. I just don't want to pay for another, I like my dirt country living, so,
Okay.
thanks.
Anyone else here that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? Yes, sir.
My name's Brent. I want to touch a little bit on what he said. With the high-density residential area by Thompson and Fenton Road, is that part of the master plan originally?
That's what he's saying, it's in the future land use map, in the future land use plan. It goes back to what my sermon earlier, right? In the future land use plan, you got to place areas or different types of development. You can't say, I don't like this kind of development, we're not gonna do it. That's exclusionary zoning, talking about it. But there's gotta be a place in your township for every lawful use. And that's currently the area we were looking at for higher density residential.
So that's already been zoned as,
Not zone. You know what the zoning is, Mike?
Zoning is a combination of R3 and ag.
Yeah, so right now it's houses and farms is what it's zoned for,
currently?
currently. And
Okay.
people that live there, it can stay houses and farms as long as they want. There's nothing in there that requires, them to have their property rezoned into something that fits into the master use plan. And that's
Okay.
true for everybody on Ray Road. You don't have to, change because the future land use map says this is the area where we want to see this kind of activity go in the future. If you're doing a different use and you own that property, you have the right to stay there and do that as long as you want.
You know, because I noticed with that high-density area, there's a lot of residential townhomes. Like, I don't know if they would be raised or bought out, or what they would do if they decided to put an apartment complex there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, it's just market economics. You know, mostly somebody that wanted to build like something like that wouldn't be looking to level something else. They'd be looking for vacant land, just to, you know, keep the costs down. But again, whether you want to build that sort of thing is a question. I mean, there's legislation in Lansing right now that's trying to regulate corporate-owned rental properties. And so I don't know that I'm in that line of business. I think I'd be keeping my money in my wallet for the time being, at least until that settles out a little bit.
All right, cool, thank you.
Good evening.
Hello, my name is Mary. I live on Ripley Road. And at the last planning commission meeting, the property on Ripley and Ralston Road is going up for rezoning. And several of the residents brought up the infrastructure, the roads. The development Redwood at the end of Ripley Road and Silver Lake Road, 187 apartments. This rezoning of Ripley and Ralston is 111 homes. The infrastructure's not there. So the Planning Commission is relooking at the traffic study because the numbers didn't match quite up. My question is this. One of the Planning Commission board brought up a building moratorium for Fenton Township to slow everything down. Because that area, you have Laring Road, Ralston Road, Silver Lake Road, with all of these developments. The infrastructure's not there. So this is gonna be coming to you, I'm sure, in the future. But the building moratorium is something that the residents want that to be looked into. Is it legal? Can it be slowed down because of traffic?
Like for right now,
study?
we have a moratorium on data centers. It's designed to give us time to implement ordinances. I think we've already done that. That moratorium is probably gonna come out. But
Okay.
can you just say, we've got development at a level where we want it, we're stopping it right now for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years? You can't do that.
What about the infrastructure? Can it be
Tell
post-
me what you think infrastructure isn't there to support. I was goofing off when that meeting happened. I sat on the planning commission too.
Well,
I've seen the traffic report.
The
So-
traffic report, one
Yeah.
of the other board members said the numbers didn't match up from the history of the
Okay.
other ones. They
Okay.
did it at the last day of school. People were already gone,
Yeah.
so they were
Well, that was
gonna.
my question. I'm glad you answered that.
Yeah,
'cause
they
I
were
wasn't
gonna
sure
review
School
that.
was in or school was out.
Somebody said it was the last day. I
Yeah.
can't, that's what was said.
Yeah.
So they were gonna review that, because the numbers they said, they were way off. I mean, I live right on Ripley Road. I can count more cars than that in a day.
Right.
So, that was my question, I don't know. I think 111 more homes on top of 187 apartments, and then you add 2 people at least, either in the homes or in the apartments. I just don't know how that can sustain that area, the schools.
Well, the schools would love it
They would, because of the
Yeah.
numbers.
because of the numbers. The traffic report that you're alluding to says that that development would have no impact on the level of service of the road. I'm not an
I know,
I'm not a
we all
traffic
laughed at
engineer.
that, yeah, right.
I don't know. I do think as a board, because these traffic reports that are fairly new, that we're requiring these as developments, and we get them from the developer and we review them, it may behoove us to spend some money to have our own traffic expert at least review or provide an alternate.
And
report.
add in the
Let me jump
187.
in just real quick.
Yeah.
We've done that, and Mike came to me, Mike and I sat down, he told me the problem with the report. So Mike looked into a company, he came to me, it was not cheap, but it was within my purview, so I signed the check, or signed the request, and we are now, and under Mike's suggestion, is that we will be doing that now ourselves. So again, we have to go through the whole RFP process, but to protect that request, or because of that meeting, Mike has went out, found an independent company, and they will be reviewing that to make sure that it's done correctly. So in going forward, which John just touched on, I think it's a smart idea that the township does their own. But again, you can see it from the other side too, because now, does everyone out there mistrust the township because it's our, so.
Yeah. Well, and then my question to this, I guess it's a planning commission question, but I'm not against the development. That property is going to be developed, but does it have to be 111 homes?
Well, that's a question you should ask.
Master plan
Yeah.
and all these other plans, that's what I thought. I was hoping you guys were gonna look out for us as citizens.
So this
Residents.
is a group question, so all of you that have fallen asleep, please pay attention to this. Because the development she's talking about was up for rezoning, I'm gonna say 3 years ago.
Yes, I was there.
Don't quote me on the exact amount of time. And at that point in time, the statement you made earlier was accurate. The infrastructure was not appropriate for that development at that point in time. And I was asking you specifically what you were talking about, because infrastructure is a broad category. The problem at that point in time was that there was not sewer capacity, okay? A lot of you, when we were talking earlier about, when I was saying how the rezoning process works, I told you, you can still consider those kinds of things. In that specific instance, there was not sewer capacity for that development, and we turned them down at that point in time. Well, what has happened yet? Come on over to my place, okay? The township has spent, I don't remember how much money, a lot of money to expand the capacity of the sewer pipe, and it's going through my backyard. And several of my neighbors along here, and it's to address that problem. So when I talked to you before about when we go back in and we start looking at the master plan, what is it the residents want? Do you want us to restrict development to the best means that we can legally, okay? Whether you chose to expand that pipe or not was a decision that could be impacted by the future land use plan of the township. How fast that happened, you know, there's a line, there's a game that you play, because there's a balancing test that goes on. Because if you regulate land to the point where you can't do anything with it, then you still lose the lawsuit. But there are things that you can do to slow development down, and that pipe that we're talking about right now is one of those things that you would look at and question whether you wanted to do it and when you wanted to do it. But right now, that capacity issue that stopped that development is resolved. So why do I ask you all to pay attention? Most of the township, I'm gonna say 80%, but don't quote me on the number. Most of the township is future land use plan for medium density residential, okay? What does that mean? Okay, within the ambit of our zoning ordinance, and I've been on the Township Planning Commission since 2000. I've seen the zillion, I've probably seen every one of your homes come in for approval, because half of the township's residential structures have been built since 2000. I'm probably misquoting the master plan, but it's fairly recent. We got a lot of new houses in the township. It's great, we got a lot of new houses, but what we are gearing for is exactly that. And what it allows, if they do an open space plan, is 1.5 units per acre. That's what our master plan looks like. 80% of it is focusing residential development at 1.5 units per acre. And if that isn't something that all of you folks want, then we need to know about it. But you gotta know, Lansing's trying to get us to a number, I've lost the math now, at least 12 times what we do, okay? I mean, what they are proposing in Lansing takes away our zoning ability. I've talked to this group before about that and asked that you get active in that, but they want really small lots. There are many places I can point you to that have that 1.5 units per acre. So I'd like you all to get familiar with them. One of them is Lakeside Acres. Am I saying the name right, Mark, next to you? Is it Lakeside? Lakeside? Mm-hmm. That's an open space, 1.5 unit per acre development. So look at that. That's what we, as a township, have said we're looking for. So the prior applicant was too dense. That was not consistent with what we are. But what they're looking at in general, I'm not telling you because we haven't got the final site plan, but in general, what they're proposing to do on that corner is what we're suggesting that we want done in 80% of the township. And if that isn't the case, that's what we all as a group, and I mean more than just the people in the room here, have to decide. But that is the stereotypical development that you would expect in Fenton Township with the master plan and the zoning ordinance that we have right now.
Okay.
What would be high density?
6 units an acre, that's in Fenton Township. I mean, that's what we would consider, 6 units an acre would be high density. There are some more intense zoning categories as you go up. That's, Mike, is that R6, that's 6 units an acre, what?
Correct.
Yeah.
6 units per acre is the max that our ordinance talks about. So condo or apartment.
Yeah. And by state standards, that's tiny. Compare it to, if you go out to Atlas Township, they've got an ordinance that says 3 acres per unit. And they're gonna lose a lawsuit at some point in time, because that is crazy. but they don't have all the lakes that we have, there's not as much demand to go in that area, and they've gotten away with it for a long period of time. But to say you can only build a house on 3 acres, that's probably not gonna withstand things, but, you know, we as a group, we need to figure out where we wanna go, but the subdivision this lady was asking about, that is what our master plan and our zoning ordinance is designed to do, that kind of development. Because we can't say no. If you don't want that, tell me what you want.
Any other comments? Or anyone here that would like to address the board? Yes, sir. Sure.
Me? Me or him?
Sleep in and the Mike Krushka. Talking about that Ripley Road, Ralston Road. Okay, there's 100 acres there. You're saying 1.5 residences per acre. Is that buildable acres?
Yes.
Because, okay,
Yeah,
so by the time you take.
out the wetlands.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's net acres, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We have a smart group of residents.
Yes, we
You
do.
guys ask good questions. I appreciate that.
Anyone else here that would like to address the board?
Sandra Wood. I watched the video from April 26, when you were in Lansing, Mr. Lorraine, and learned that we have 2 hotels coming, 3 restaurants. When do we get to know these things?
I was referring to a document. We do have one that's going through the process. I think it's already through the planning process. It's a boutique hotel on Fenton Road.
Well,
So
where's
it's been, and then in the PUD of Miller Industries, what I was talking about, is you can see from the original, this goes back, I don't know how many years. If you look at what's been proposed when the second building was proposed, it says on here, restaurant, hotel. So it's been there on these drawings through the planning commission. It's always been there. So when you do a PUD, I think, and again, I can't really explain all this, you could probably do a better job than me, but that's what you do. There's a concept plan. So that was the plan that I was referring to, was the concept plan, and this is not something that I just, lied about or anything like that, but trust me, you'll be finding out soon.
And-
But it's always been there.
And, I always hear that you want to do with the residents, things for the residents, things we'll be able to partake in, and then we approved, whatever, the travel, semi-truck place. How do we get to enjoy that? I hope never to have a semi. I don't know about anybody else. So, just things that come up, and it's almost like it's buried. And then all of a sudden, we're here, and we don't have any choices. That's all. I just had a
thank you.
question. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes, sir.
My name's Dan. So I just have a question. You're putting, if I'm reading right and understand what's going on, the hotel is going on Fenton and North Long Lake would be the east side of the road, right?
Correct.
So what is gonna change at that intersection when that hotel goes in? Is there plans to put a stoplight? Is it gonna stay a blinking light, or has that not really been a thought yet?
Now, it's been looked at, we gave final site plan approval at the planning commission. There was, at one point in time, a pedestrian crosswalk, which, raised some concerns for.
100%.
Yeah, I get it.
100%.
Let's go drinking, and then we're gonna cross Fenton
Cross the
Road.
street.
Correct.
Yeah, so.
How many deaths are gonna happen there?
Right, so that issue is a road commission issue.
Okay.
And I'm forgetting how it came out, because it goes to them before we get a final site plan. Mike, do you remember what they're proposing there?
So there is, a turn lane going in for the hotel,
Okay,
and they are investigating the necessity for a light.
necessity of a what?
A light.
A light, okay.
So, Mr. Dean, the lane that you would use right now to go around somebody turning onto North Long Lake Road would be the turn lane to turn into the hotel?
So there would be what they call a slip lane.
Another one added. Okay, that's all I got.
No problem. Anyone else who would like to address the board? Yes?
John, just what you were saying earlier in regards to infrastructure, having the sewer lines in order to be able to approve development. With Miller Industries, you yourself said that it hasn't been, the bridge itself has been basically not sufficient since 2002.
2002 failing levels.
Right. So why are we continuing to add additional people to this area? I'm not saying to get rid of it, but put a delay on that, 2-3 years till after the bridge is done. I mean, you've already said the infrastructure is not good enough, but you know you're gonna have another 200 cars going in and out of that, plus additional trucks and everything else.
I don't remember what the traffic count was for this third building, but it is 100 yards from the freeway,
Correct.
you know?
I'm talking about the bridge, though.
Yeah, I know.
That bridge is a choke point.
The
so.
bridge was failing before they built their first building.
Understandable, and you let that happen, and you continue to make the things worse. That's all I'm saying, is just put things in place prior to approving things like this.
Yeah, well, we have the solution in place now, and you can compare this application with the one a couple of you have mentioned. You talked about Love's. When Love's came here, they wanted to be on the south side of Thompson, next to the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you do zoning planning stuff, that's where you want that kind of stuff, right? Kind of by the freeway. But at that time, we told them no, and that's the reason. They went away because we told them no, because that interchange was failing.
Right.
And to add all the new stops from the thing is crazy.
Mhm.
Well, what's changed since then is Vince went out and got 10, 12, how many was it?
$12.5 million.
$12.5 million
Mm-hmm.
so that we could fix what has been broken since 2002.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that. I think that's great. I'm just,
If I were to take your
you're
logic.
putting the cart before the horse.
I know, but if I were to take your logic and say, let's go back to 2002, we're not doing any more development until we get Thompson Road overpass fixed. Half of these people sitting behind you wouldn't have houses, okay? So I'm not saying this is a great intersection, but I've been in the city of Fenton, and I know a failing road by Sealand. I'm no traffic engineer. Silver Lake Road is failing. I'm now forced to drive Grand Blanc Road with Baldwin Road closing. It's failing right now.
Yeah, trust me, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, this intersection is bad,
Yeah.
but I drive it twice a day.
But you're just making it worse. That's all. All I'm saying is, why can't
What
things
I'm
be
telling you is
delayed?
the fix is coming in the short term. Will there
Right.
be an overlap? Yep, there's gonna be an overlap. Okay, but so has been for half of the houses in the township, all of the development along Thompson Road. These incremental changes, 100 yards from the freeway, aren't gonna make a failing system more failing. It's already broken,
I respectfully disagree with that.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's why we get traffic engineers that know more than you and I do.
Well, you know what, I'm gonna let Melissa answer that, because I thought, out of respect for his question, because it's a good question, I thought that the county had already said through Melissa, and I'll let Melissa answer, that with the addition of Miller and any, certain things, that the bridge was fine. So, and I might be wrong. So Melissa, can you answer that, or am I wrong?
Well, I might be misunderstanding his question. He's wanting to know why we're approving Miller before we fix the interchange. That was his question.
Okay. You still
My
there, Melissa?
understanding,
Okay.
my understanding of the traffic study said Miller Industries, building 1, 2, or 3 was not affecting that bridge. But we'd have to pull that traffic study and look at it.
We'll be glad to do that. Pull it in if you want. We can have it available at the front desk. Again, none of us are engineers. We rely on the engineers to tell us. So. Any other questions or comments from anyone here that would like to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
Mary Ward, I want to know what's going to happen when you do the turnaround on Thompson and 23 with the trucks. Where are they going to go from Miller Industries? You've got heavy-duty trucks going back and forth full of materials. Where are you going to send these people?
Great question. I can't answer it right now. And again, this is public comment. We're supposed to listen. I'm not in a position to answer that. I think that would be an answer from the Genesee County Road Commission. They are putting together plans. I have had the plans for the bridge up on our website and our social media for over a year, letting people know that it's going to be done. But at this point in the engineering, I think they're just finalizing what the design's going to be. So until that, then I think it goes to the county, it goes to the state, since it's a state bridge. They will all be knowing where the trucks are gonna go, where the traffic's gonna go, just like on Baldwin Road. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, to me, I used to go to Genesis, and it takes me 22 minutes to get to, to work out.
Yeah.
So I don't do that anymore. And I'll have to wait till it's done. It's gonna be an inconvenience, but all of that stuff is not done through us. It's all done by the state and the county.
But the issue is you're letting Miller Industries build another thing, another big building, which means more big trucks coming in, and then you start doing the roundabout, and more trucks are gonna have to go down neighborhood roads, which is gonna ruin the roads.
Well, let's back that up first. First of all, we have no idea what the plan is gonna look like. You can guess, because they're building a roundabout on Baldwin Road. And you can see what they've done to reroute traffic. They are not going to reroute semi-traffic to residential subdivisions, okay? You're gonna be looking at county primary roads, okay? Now, there's a premise, and I've seen it around, you're not the first one to say it, that semi-trucks are going to destroy the roads if you send them down there. That's bad information that you're getting. Every single road in this township, I don't know as of what date, is required to be constructed to county road specifications. Those specifications are designed to handle the semi-trucks, the garbage trucks, the trucks that are full of water to fill your subdivision, and it doesn't matter whether that road is inside your subdivision or it's one of the county primary roads, they're all designed to handle those kind of loads. Do they all wear out over time? Darn right, bet they were. If I started my life smarter than I did, I probably would be a road fix-it guy, because they are getting rich off from taxpayer money that's replacing roads that are under-designed and are known that they're gonna fail over time. But the notion that somebody's bringing a semi-truck and it's gonna cause my road to deteriorate, it's in the design to handle that. It's not, the information is not good information.
Okay, well, basically, I'm thinking Torrey's just been done, so they'd have to go down to Torrey in order to get back onto the interstate.
They're gonna be looking for probably the nearest interchanges. I'm guessing, I'm no traffic expert. They're gonna be looking to go up to Grand Lake Road. Okay, they're gonna be trying to get traffic
If
up
they're
there.
going north, or if they're going
Yeah,
south, they're gonna have to
right.
go down Torrey.
And the other direction is North Road. That's the next
Yeah.
thing to do. And might there be traffic down North Road? I can't tell you, but they will create a plan, but I can't tell you if it's a good plan or a bad plan in terms of how it is. I don't know, it hasn't been created yet. We don't even know what it is. Will it be an inconvenience when these roundabouts go on? You bet your bottom dollar it's gonna be an inconvenience.
Yeah.
It's an inconvenience for me that a roundabout's going in on Baldwin Road. Apparently it's bugging Vince too. It's a pain in the tush.
Well, anybody that's here who goes to Grand Lake, it's bothering.
But anytime you're fixing something significant, it's a pain. And the reason you go through the pain is to get to the end product. And there's no way to fix that failing intersection without making it worse before you make it better.
Well, I still think we should start that third building.
I understand. I get you.
Anyone else that'd like to address the board? Sure.
Hi, my name's Patty. I live in Linden. And a lot of discussion about your plan, your 20-year plan. Does the focus, I'm in automotive, so I'm going to use some terms that may not be familiar with. Does your plan include, to what everyone's questions are, the infrastructure to support it?
Yes.
You're focusing?
We look at, there's sections in the master plan that look
Okay.
at, sewer. Now we're looking at, where the water is.
Mhm.
That changes things.
So when we have a nonconformance, something that occurs, does that then feed back into what we call in automotive a DFMEA, defined failure mode effects analysis? Then we put potential countermeasures. Then we put, I think Mr. Miller, his team is probably listening back there, and I know there's some automotive people with me.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of lessons learned. I spoke with Mike regarding some discoveries I've made on the Redwood. I want to share, but I think there's some best practices from automotive that might help us in this kind of environment to help us understand plan, do, check, act cycle.
Yeah.
So we're being really efficient with our timing and planning for the future.
I don't speak to automotive, but I think I understand what.
Okay,
the sentiment
and I'd
is.
really like to
Yeah.
help, because I'm going to do a FOIA request, but I'm also going to do a reverse FOIA. And I'm going to disclose the records that I have found, who I've spoke with, who I've audited. I've learned a lot in the last couple months, and I think we need to learn from what I've discovered. Looking forward to sharing it.
Well, just so I can tell you, I know that I meet with the county a lot, and we do think ahead, but until somebody invests or makes a change, you don't know. So Miller builds the first building, and I'm just gonna use Miller, sorry, but they build the second building. Well, now the county starts talking about, okay, where's alternate routes? So we were probably in talks with the county on Torrey Road, turning that into an all-season road. And when I made my request, my first request to the state for the bridge, I included what they called, I made it the whole Thompson Road corridor, which includes Torrey Road, section of Torrey Road, includes all the way down to Jennings Road, all the way to Fenton Road. So all of that is being looked at, and I agree with you 100%, but it is being done. I mean, the county has to.
Right.
I mean, Flint and Genesee Chamber is in my office twice last year. They're looking far out. They're looking at not just Fenton, they're looking at what's happening in Flint Township, what's happening in Mundy Township with the big mega site. They are looking at it all the time. Well, you know what? This is what's gonna happen over here, or if it's gonna happen over here, then this might happen over here. But until we get that, it changes all the time.
Yeah. and
So
it-
until X happens, we don't know what we're gonna do to Torrey Road.
Right.
If nothing else ever gets built on Thompson Road, the economy, it turns sour, nobody builds, no need to build Torrey Road. But if we had 4 or 5 new businesses, a hotel build, then probably we're gonna have to start looking at Torrey Road.
But what needs to happen, though, is that timeline needs to go back and feed into the plan to check act cycle. Because what we thought we knew 20 years ago, look what we've learned just in the last 3. So it's important that we stay relevant, that the opportunities that we felt were the appropriate things to do, we may have had to take 2 steps to the right. But I think going forward, we really need to consider sharing decision-making with the person who shares the other side of that road with you. Because not only are they sharing experience, they need to share the funds too, that need to go into paying for it, as well as benefiting from taxes. Like I spoke the other night at our zoning committee meeting that you had here, a lot of these communities, like the woman was speaking on the 111 plus the 187, the city of Linden, we're gaining a lot of traffic. And that study to defend the people that were here, the Ward family, that study was done with 2 bridges under repair, parts of Ripley were closed, so they didn't get a real sampling, and plus we were resurfacing down to 1 lane. So I think that's why their numbers were off. So one thing about auditing and compliance, you have to stand in everybody's role. You have to be objective. So it's so important that we continuously feed the plan, make it current, take what didn't work, but keep it as a side note. 10 years from now, we can come back to it. Thank you for watching my time.
And I agree. Who would have thought 15 years ago that downtown Fenton would be what it is today? I just read something that they do 50,000 people a day. That Lynn Marshall made a quote in the Tri-County Times. I don't quote me on it, but I think it was like 50,000 people a day come to downtown. Talk about traffic. Well, it affects Fenton
Everybody.
Township probably.
I'm on the corner
Linden,
of Silver and Ripley.
Holly, everybody.
So you want to do your study? I'll give you a chair to sit in, put an engineer right there, and you can count cars with me. I will volunteer my time and expertise.
You might be cheaper than who we just hired, too.
Yeah, I mean, Melissa, I know her, she's wonderful. She's been to my home and talked to me about easements. But we need to work together as a team, because Linden is struggling with our water lines, with our sewer, our ditching, but that'll be a discussion for another day. But I really want to share what I found, and I want to share it in a very respectful way that we can all learn and become stronger as a result.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you. Anyone else like to address the board? All right, we will move on to Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to address the board? And again, it's on agenda or non-agenda items. If so, just unmute. All right, hearing nothing else, it is,
Can I say something before you close?
oh, sure.
Yeah, she used the word that triggered a thought with me. I've said this before, but I want to thank the group that's here, because I follow online. I know what's going on. I see what's being said. But what you're being told is to become informed and to become involved. And I 100% support that. But I want to thank you for the respectful way in which you have done what you are doing. That is how things can change. I've seen what it looks like when that isn't the case. So I appreciate the fact that you come to us and tell us your opinions, and you're doing it in a respectful manner. We can have dialogue all night long and exchange ideas. We don't have to agree. That's okay. I don't care if people don't agree with me. But let's exchange information. Let's learn from each other, and let's do it respectfully. And you guys have done that with A+ Gold Star, and I thank you for that.
Amen. You should give your round of applause yourself.
I'll give you a round of applause.
Yeah, there you go. All right, it is now, again, thank you everyone, as John said, thank you everyone for coming. And again, we will stay in touch. Watch what's, use our social media to know what we're doing. Stay in touch, because the master plan will be coming forward from the Planning Commission. I don't know exactly what the timeline is, but that will really give everyone in this township an opportunity to participate, because like John said, the last time there wasn't a lot of participation. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people that will participate, and we can turn this township into a township that everybody wants to see.
If you haven't done it, there's a survey on the town corridor that's looking for input on what, if anything, you want in there. So if you haven't done it, it's out on, you can get it on the website. We're trying to get input on that. Yeah, Sue?
Do we know how many people have actually taken that survey?
I don't. Do you know, Mike?
600 who responded online, and we have about 2 to 250 paper copies received so far.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually statistically a pretty good response.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
So
SRA.
if you haven't done it, do it. When the other one comes out, please get involved in the process.
All right. It is now 8:13 p.m. If there's nothing else, I say good night, and the meeting's adjourned.